For this crocheted purse tutorial, we're going to be using Red Heart Super Saver in the color black, and I have two colors that you'll notice will match the belt buckle here. These are by A.C. Moore by Nicole Studio Samples. One's in a variegated pink and one's in a variegated gray. The belt buckle that I have here today is a recycled belt buckle, and it has an elastic waistband in it. I have a hook. This one is a size 7, 4.50 millimeter hook. A G hook will do the same. A tapestry needle. And a pair of scissors. For more tools that we will be needing to finish our bag will be pins, a needle, and sewing thread. Before we begin, I would like to go a little bit more into the belt that I have chosen for this project. It does have an elastic waistband, but that is not important. The idea is to use a belt that you have that you can use as a decoration for the top half of this purse project. What I have done was I have removed the buckle and the little prong that goes in here, and I have used Loctite super glue to glue it down so that it's in place. You'll also notice that in the process I've lost a few, but I'm not too worried about it. It adds to the charm of my design. So, whichever you choose to use, we're going to make this bag 12 inches wide, so it is big enough to carry an iPad. So the belt that I have chosen is 12, 24, 3, let's put it this way, it's about a 36-inch waist belt. So even if you're not that big, we can still create one that will fit for your bag. Let's get started. For the bottom portion of our bag, we're going to be doubling our yarn so that we will have the bulk. It will make it a little bit stiffer. So pull the yarn from the outside and the yarn from the center, and we can use those together as we start to crochet. To begin, we're going to place a slip knot on our hook, and we're going to chain 13. 1, 2, 3. Please pause your video. I'll meet you at 13. Before we move on, I encourage you to pull some yarn out so that your tension in your stitches will be correct. So, after we've done this, we're going to skip our first chain, and in our second chain, we're going to place 1 single crochet. And single crochet across to the end of the row. You will have 12 single crochets. At the end of the row, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and if you need to stretch it just a little bit because of the curling you might have, go ahead and do that now. We're going to single crochet through the 2 loops, and we'll single crochet across. We'll have 12 single crochets on each row with a chain 1 turn. Continue this for a total of 45 rows. This will be our bottom. When you get to the end, I'll meet you there. After completing the 45 rows, you'll notice that it is a little stiff. So let's go ahead and finish this. We're going to go ahead and cut it, leave about 4 inches, pull it through. Then we're going to take our yarn from the center. I always use the center pull. Go ahead and make a slip knot. And place it on your hook, and let's get started working on another piece of our bag. The next piece that we're making for our bag is the middle insert. So with just one strand of yarn, let's go ahead and chain 42. Go ahead and when you get to the end of the 42, pause your video and I'll meet you there. We're going to skip the first 3 chains, and in the 4th chain, 1 double crochet. Now this piece will have no design because it will be on the inside of our purse. Okay, double crochet 1 per chain all the way across. When you get to the end, I'll meet you there. At the end, chain 2, turn your work, and double crochet in the first stitch. You're going to be doing this for a total of 19 rows. So you will have all of your double crochets, chain 2, turn, for a total of 19 rows. Go ahead and do that. Please pause your video, watch a movie, listen to some music, take your time, and make sure you count each row. This piece will be for the middle, and to show you how it's going to fit, it should fit so that it doesn't fit exactly to the end. It's going to be inside just a little bit. So here's the completion of our middle piece. I have 19 rows, and you'll notice that here's our bottom piece. I know I'm using black yarn, so since I know y'all know the stitches, I wanted to show you that it is a little bit smaller than the bottom piece here. Okay, so if I put it over to that side, you can see here it's about an inch or 2 longer. So let's move on to our bottom piece here, where we're going to single crochet around the edges. We're going to be using a single strand from here on out, so go ahead and place a slip knot on your hook, and as you look, I don't know if I can get the light to show it, but as you look, you notice that one row, and then you got your second row. So basically you have like your valleys and your peaks. The ones with the little humps, those are your peaks. The ones where it's not showing the little humps, that's your valley right there. Right there, you can see it a little bit better. So this is where we're going to be sticking the hook at. You'll see at the top of the row here, we're going to put one there, and then where this little peak is at, we're going to put one there. And then you can see this line, we're going to put one there. So since we did 45 rows, that means that we're going to have 45 single crochets on the long end. On the short ends, we're going to have 12. When you get into your corners, do not add anything else. So let's start. You'll notice that where you stopped at here, you got your stitch. Go ahead, place your hook in, draw up a loop. We're going to make our single crochet, yarn over through the 2 loops. Now the second one, you see where our little humps are at. Go ahead and place it where your last hump is at. Stick your hook in, draw up a loop, yarn over and through both of those 2 loops. You've now created 2 single crochets. Our third one is right here where it's the line. You can see the line here. Go ahead and place that in. Alright. As you're going through, go ahead and count however many rows that you have. If you do not follow the 45 as suggested, make sure you have 1 single crochet per row. And I'll meet you down here at this end. So here I've come to the end of my row, and if you can see this here, I am now at my foundation chain row. So I'm going to be going over my tails as well as into my foundation here. So at this corner, do not add more because we're going to be going up and around anyway. So insert into that first foundation chain. This row you should have 12. So go ahead and place 12 single crochets along this edge. When you get to this corner, you're going to go just around, and then you'll do the same amount for one for every row till you get to here, and then you're going to do the 12 again, and then we'll meet here where we started at. Go ahead and do that, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Please pause your video. To complete this row, we're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet and chain 2. Now I know it's kind of dark because I'm using black yarn. I'm making this purse as a gift for a friend. So I'm going under the terms that you know that what I'm going to talk about. So for this long row that we're going to do here all the way to the end, okay, you got 45 single crochets here. We are going to place 45 double crochet front post double crochets, back post double crochets, because we want this chain from the single crochet to show. So I want you to go from behind, go over the stitch, and go through to the back. Draw your loop up and complete your double crochet. Now this is only for this row, because what we're going to do is we're going to start on the back part of our purse. So back post, can you see the chain stitch from the top? I can't tell with the camera. Here's the chain stitch from the top of the single crochets. That's the decorative edge we want. And the single crochet is also making it so that the double crochets will help the purse show the sides and stuff. So just do the 45 down to the end. When you get there, stop, and I'll show you what to do next. So as you can see, my little chain stitch here from the back post double crochets, we are going to do one thing here. We're going to chain 2 and double crochet across, chain 2, double crochet across. You need to do a total of 20 rows, 45 double crochets well, 44 double crochets, and then the chain 2 for 20 rows. Like you did with your back piece for 19 rows, this piece will be for 20 rows. And to make this video shorter, you see your side one, whoops, let me bring it down. Your side one has 12. Okay, when you complete your 20 rows, cut your yarn, and you're going to start with a standing double crochet or a chain 3, whichever is easy for you, and you're going to do 12 back post double crochets here, chain 2, 12 for 20 rows. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and come over here for the other side and do the same thing. You're going to cut your yarn on the other side, so you're going to start fresh here, chain 3 or standing double crochet, and then you want to do your front post double crochet, or back post, excuse me, you want the chain to show. Back post double crochets 12, chain 2 for 20 rows. Once you get this side, and this side complete, we will be ready to do the front. If you want to start the front, you do front post double crochet 1 row and stop, and then we will start our pattern for the front of the bag. Please pause your video, watch a movie, get something to drink, stretch your legs, and I'll see you in a little bit. Now this may take you about an hour or 2, maybe 3 or 4. Just take note of where you're at on the video and come on back. Welcome back. I know it was a long little journey here. Here's the back, 20 rows. We have one side here. Let me slide it down a little toward the center. And we have another side that we've completed here. And I did 1 row of the front. So I drew out a picture here to help make it a little bit easier. So what I just showed you was our bottom piece, a side that had 20 rows with 12 single crochets, another side that had 20 rows, 12 single crochet, and our back piece, which is this right here, 20 rows of 45 double crochets in each row. Next, we're going to do the front. So let me fold our paperwork here so you can see it a little bit better. Okay. So what we're going to do now is, if you haven't completed row 1, which was the back post double crochets, and you needed the chain 2 plus 44 double crochets, which would give you 45. I would like for you to do that now. But before we move on, so that you can do that row, let me explain a little bit of what we're going to do next. So at the beginning of the next row, you're going to chain 2, which will count as our first double crochet. Then you will do 4 double crochets, chain 1, double crochet. You will repeat that for a total of 5 times. All right, you'll also see it right here in my directions that I wrote out for you. Then you will make 16 double crochets, chain 1, double crochet for a total of 5 times. At the end of the row, you'll only need to do 4 double crochets, because that last double crochet will be part of the 5 that we need on the end here. Okay, so if you need to pause your video, you can see what we're going to do here, and That way you can take a screenshot if you need to. So let me give you a basic showing of what we're going to do with my black yarn. I know, go ahead, cuss me out. But I think when all this is said and done, you'll really like our bag. Now I know the lighting is not going to be as good as it was when the camera view was in a wide, but I wanted to give you a basic idea. Here is our chain 2. Oops. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to skip this very first one because your chain 2 will cover that, and in the next one will be the first of the 4 double crochets. Okay, so here we have, what you can see is 1, that's our chain 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do, chain 1. I forgot to write this in the pattern, didn't I? Shame on me. Skip 1 stitch, and in the next stitch place your double crochet. So I guess I need to rewrite that pattern. Shame on me. Okay, so chain 1, skip 1. Okay, we want to do that a total of 5 times. So we have 1, 2, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, number 3, chain 1, skip 1. Here's number 4. Chain 1, skip 1, number 5. Alright, so this is what the look that we're trying to get. This is where we're going to be weaving our yarn in and out of to give that woven look for the front of our bag. Go ahead and do your 16, and I'll meet you here at the other end to show you how to finish this first row, or the second row. Alright, the bad girl that I am. I add skip 1 DC. So chain 1, skip 1, and then DC. That will be part of the 5 times. So, sorry about that. Alright, so I've completed my 16 stitches here. So let's finish out our row. Chain 1, skip 1, 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet after we skip 1. This will be number 2, skip 1, number 3, chain 1, skip 1, number 4, chain 1, skip 1, number 5. Now the last thing that you'll want to do on this row is, you'll notice that we have 4, you see those little holes there? That's the top of the stitches. So we have 4 stitches left, and we need 4 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, at the end of every row, chain 2. Let's turn our work. Your tail, we'll weave that in with our needle. Okay, so you'll see here our first hole, skip that one. In the second hole, we're going to do 4 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is repeating row 2. So we're going to chain 1, we're going to skip this chain 1 space, and in this next one double crochet, and we're going to do that the 5 times. So skip 1, the chain 1 space and double crochet in the top of the next double crochet. Chain 1, skip chain 1, double crochet in the next chain 1 space. Okay, so I have one more to do. Alright, then you'll do your 16 and finish out the rest of the row. Count. Okay, we have row 1, row 2, row 3. You want to continue this pattern that we're doing here till you have 14 rows. Okay, 14 rows. When you get to row 15, you'll just do your straight double crochet for each row until you have a total row of 20. So go ahead and do all of that. When you get to the 20th row, we'll be ready to sew up our sides and sew in our middle insert as well. I'll meet you then. Please pause your video and see you in a little bit. So this is the pattern that you should have when completed. You notice across the top is solid. That is where the belt goes. Let's go ahead and start sewing our pieces together before we start joining the sides. Back when we first started, remember I told you about the little chain stitch? Can you see that little chain stitch that's on the outside? That's from our single crochets when we joined the bottom here. That will be facing down. So when you look at your piece here, you do not see no chain stitch here. The piece that we're going to be attaching right here in the middle will be the center piece that we did. So find your sides. Mine is right here. You're going to have about 1 inch over, and then you want to find the center, which if you want to, you can count over 6 stitches, and we're going to sew this down using a whip stitch, only picking up the stitches that are on the inside to hold this in place. I've threaded my needle, and I'm going to start here in the corner. I'm just going to pick up a few stitches and pick up part of the bottom here. So the first thing we're going to do is bring it so that you have maybe a couple inches and tie a square knot. This will not be going to the side, so it will be open on these inside corners here. This will allow for stretching if you have your iPad tablet a little bit larger than what the dimensions are. This should be 12 inches wide. So to make a whip stitch, we're just going to pick up a couple of stitches, moving down a little. And if yours is like mine, it's going to be the chain stitch. My foundation stitch is up here. So we're going to put it in there and pull it through. And do this all the way down to the end, which will be right here. After sewing the middle piece in, we're going to focus on the front of the bag. So go ahead and get out your pink and gray, if those are the colors you're choosing, and now we're going to weave them in. Being that this yarn is a thick and chunky yarn, if you're not using that kind, you can always use 2 strands of the normal worsted weight. With this thick yarn, you'll want to thread your needle not by the end. So place it between your fingers, bring your needle up from the bottom, and pinch it. That pinching will create a small, tight loop. We're just going to take the eye of the needle and work it over that folded yarn, and it'll come through snag free. Go ahead and cut a piece that will be long, long, with some in the middle, so that we can weave it in and out. So let's go ahead and get started. We want to make our yarn here the length plus some sewing extra. I would say about 18 to 20 inches. But what I would like for you to do is to double your yarn so that you'll have 2 strands going through. To thread your needle, you want to take the yarn and bring it between your fingers. Bring the needle up and go through the folded pieces of yarn. And once those are through, you can pull them through. Now, make sure that yours is on the back. My chain stitch is underneath. So we want to start with the wrong side facing us. So down here on the bottom, I'm going to pick up a couple of stitches. I'm going to pull my yarn through, and I'm going to make a small square knot. Then I'm going to take the needle and pick up one strand that'll be in the center of the hole here. I'm going to pull it through. Now we're going to do a weave process with our holes. So the needle will go down into one and come up in the other, go down, come up, go down, and come up. Alright? You want to pull it through and keep it loose. If your yarns have twisted, straighten them out now, and then stretch it just a little bit to keep it so that it's weaving properly. And then down and up, down and up. And I find that no matter how hard you try to keep these guys straight, they still want to twist on you. Okay, so we're coming up to our last one. Now in the center, you want to go through just one little loop in the stitch, and you'll want to pull it through. It'll give the illusion that it's still in part of the weave. And then when you pull it through, make sure that your double strands are not twisted. There we go. Okay. So here's what our front side will look like. All right. Now to move over so that we have a weave look on the other side, I would like for you to bring your needle under one of the loops on the stitch and another loop so that it's in center of the hole. It may take a little persuading, especially if you're using the black. Okay, so now this one's over the top. We want to go under now. So we're going to go down and come up, and you can see how our weave is different. Alright, so we're going to continue on down to the bottom. And check your yarn for any twists that might be in there. Okay, and make sure you have the same tension here as this one. Then we're going to come over and go through the center of that stitch. Now, if you plan to change colors like I do, remember that this next row has to go under. So you need to plan it accordingly so that this one will go over and this one will go under. Go ahead and continue the rest. When you need to tie it off, please bring it down here to the bottom so that your upper half does not have anything to snag on. We have 5 rows. I'll meet you when you're done. Well, my yarn decided to play a trick on me. So if you've ended up here, what you might want to consider doing is taking this and picking up just one stitch and try to weave it in the best you can so that it doesn't show on the front here. Here is what one side of my bag looks like. So I'm going to repeat this design over here and I'll meet you when I'm finished. Go ahead and do the same for you. Are you excited? I know I am. This is my variegated, the pink turned purple on me and with the gray. So are you ready to sew up the sides? We're going to crochet them. So what I'm going to show you here on this one side will be the same thing you'll do on all 4 sides. Okay, what I did was I came down here at the bottom, I lined my edges up. This one piece is the side, it's the skinnier piece, and the other one we'll start off with is the front piece. Each side and front and back have 20 rows. So we're going to start down here at the bottom. So leave a little bit of a tail on your hook, on your yarn, and let's place a slip knot and start down here at the bottom. We will carry these tails up as we go along. So we're going to start off with a slip single crochet. So I am recommending that you pick up 2 strands of your double crochet or your chain stitch, whatever it is, one from each side of this row, and we're going to complete a single crochet. And let's pull our tail over so that we can weave it up as we go along and complete a single crochet. The idea is to have a chain stitch look going up, and this will also help form and create a 90-degree type corner. So let's move into the next one. Try to keep your stitches about the same distance apart. So each row may have 1 or 2 single crochets per side. Try not to stretch your rows. Okay, so I'm picking up, now notice my tail is here, so I'm going to be picking up 2 and 2. I'm going to do a single crochet. Continue with this all the way down to the end. When you get to the end, go ahead and finish it off. You don't have to weave in the end because we're going to do some rows along the top edge. So do this side, and the other side, and I'll meet you when you're done. Please pause your video, get up, stretch your legs, maybe get something to drink, and listen to some music. I know you're still hating me because I use black yarn, huh? So do you like the nice square finish that we have on our edges? This will help it to stand up straight and look really nice. So the one thing we need to do is we have our middle piece right here. Let me expand on our camera. For our middle piece that is here in the center, see if I can, okay, I've already sewn one end onto it. You'll notice that it comes down one row because it stops at 19 rows. Remember when we first made it? So you want to bring it across to the other side and into the center of the side. You want to come down one row, and we're going to stitch it down along 2 to 3 rows up here. Go ahead and do that, and then we will start on the outside edge. So I'm using a little DVD cover here to show you that if you had your iPad, tablet, laptop, whatever, in here, it will not scratch the face of your phone or keys or anything like that. And also it will help protect the surface with this middle piece right here. So let's go ahead and start on the sides. You know I just said sides. I really meant the top. When you do videos, you have plans what you're going to say, but sometimes it just doesn't come out the way it's supposed to. So you'll notice here I have my front. I would like for you to go to the center on the side and start with a standing single crochet. We're going to do 1 single crochet all the way around until we get to the end here. This will help prevent it from causing too much stretch and also give it a nice little finish. Go ahead and do that. Please pause your video. After you've completed the single crochet edge, the next thing we're going to do is to take our belt and find the design and place it in the center and pin it all the way around. If you have a belt buckle and you can change the length of it, I encourage you to do that. What I did with mine was I found the center and I super glued it so that it will stay in place. So with the needle and thread, you'll want to sew along the edge here and the edge here. You'll notice that I have leather and this wide elastic. After you sew those two places to hold the buckle in place, you're going to want to sew right here in the center and right here along the edge on all 4 sides. In the back, you'll want to sew it just along the top, in some places just enough to tack it down. We're moving on to making our straps. Here you will see a chain of 80 stitches. When we get to the end of our chain, we're going to skip 2 chains and place a double crochet in the next. Continue with your double crochets all the way to the end. When you get to the end, chain 2 and turn your work and come on back. We will have 2 rows of double crochet. After you completed your last stitch, make sure you have a long tail. We're going to use this to sew it on with. Your single crochet will go on the inside of the strap so that the outside can expand. So we're going to bring this strap up here, and we're going to place it on the inside of our purse. So you want to flip it over, and we're going to sew it down and sew it in the form of a square. So you're going to sew across the bottom, up the sides, across the top, and down. And after you do that, you'll take some yarn out for the other side, and in the same location, sew your strap on this side. Make one for the other side here, and sew it on as well, and then you'll be completed with your purse. So in conclusion, I would like to say thank you so much for joining me in the making of this bag, and I hope that your bag has many years of enjoyment for you. The whole purpose was to learn how to use recycled items so that you can incorporate them into your current project, and using some different things, but using the basic stitch. This is definitely a beginner's bag, but I think learning some different processes in making a handbag will also be beneficial to the experienced crocheter as well. So I'd like to say thank you. I hope you encourage crochet to other people and make it as a gift to inspire them, and also to show them the love and the patience that you've applied to your project as well. So, in conclusion, thank you so much. I'm glad you were here with me. Bye-bye.